right. Happy Monday out there, or whatever day you're tuning in, but hopefully you're tuning in because we're coming at you live from City World Radio. This is the Jazzy Joy Keeping It Real show. Thanks for tuning in this evening. I'm in the studio all alone in terms of hosting, but I have our great engineer Jade here with me. And of course, as always, we have, how do you say, the man with a way with words, all the way from North Carolina, T-Mac, my co-host.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome aboard.
So I mean, we have to apologize because many of you, I've gotten messages and emails, text messages, etc. Everybody was waiting for this evening with the cat, Catherine Shaw, Lisa Bishop. Well, it was help me out there, T-Mac.
Catherine Shaw, Lisa Bishop Warren.
Yes.
Warren Bishop.
Everybody was waiting for this moment. Because we had a lot of requests in the past to bring her back. But as you know, we had a hiatus, so we weren't actually on the air for a few months. But we were getting a lot of requests to have her back. And this was certainly going to be a very hot topic. And, two women against one man, it was going to be hot. But unfortunately, I want to give a shout out to Kat. She's a little under the weather. She's not feeling well, so she couldn't join us this evening. So we're going to have to postpone it. So I just want to shout out to her. Hope she's feeling better soon.
Get better, Kat. Get better, Kat, because you got me on the edge of my seat.
That's right. He was ready. He was putting taking the gloves off or putting the gloves on. I don't know. He was ready to go up against two women because the topic is going to be hot about male-female relationships or relationships in general. Could be male-female, whatever. Male-male. Yeah.
The man haters.
We're not man haters. But we were going to tell you like it is, but... And Kat, I'm going to warn you, she's real.
I've been in the ring with Kat before, so her and her buddy Alicia. I've been in the they ganged up on me once before, so I'm kind of used to it.
So you were ready for it, but it's
two.
coming. Don't worry, it's coming.
Yes,
I also want to give a shout out to a PT of PTS top 5, Showbiz top 5. We had him on last week. He's entertainment news. He's actually here in New York. Unfortunately, it's not on a very happy occasion. I believe a friend of his passed away, and he's here for that reason. So we can't have him here, but I just want to give a shout out to PT from PTS's Showbiz Top 5. And again, I apologize to our listeners because I know everybody was geared up for the cat. But stuff happens.
They still have you. You can hold it down.
All I could say is stuff happens. You could translate that for me, T-Mac.
Yeah, shit happens.
Yes. So, that's what it is. So, again, we're sorry about that, but she will be coming at you live, and I hope you'll be ready for her. So
she's gonna make me have to come up there to New York and get in the ring personally with you too.
Oh boy, that's really gonna be.
It'd be a menage a trois fight.
Maybe the next time the next date that she's available, maybe you can be here in the studio too.
Yeah,
We'll see about that.
I'm not a sadist, a masochist, whatever it is.
Masochist? You're not masochistic? You don't want us to beat you up in person? It's all right on the phone?
I don't know. I'll give that some thought.
because we're gonna slaughter you. But I mean, you had experience, as you said, with Miss Alethea. So, and shout out to Alethea.
It's all in good spirit, and it's all about trying to redefine how we see each other and how we relate to each other as males and females.
As we certainly have some work to do, especially in the black community. I mean, with where relationships are concerned, we have a lot of work to do, really, in trying to understand each other and work with each other instead of against each other.
Like she yesterday at an event, my son's mother happened to be there and met her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she introduced herself to her, and you know, said that her and I share a child together, and
right.
You know, and so Kat turns around to Alethea and introduces her as one of McKinney's baby's mamas.
Well, so, you know, I mean, come on, she is one of the.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Huh?
What are you talking about? About women? How? Well, you know, Kat. Kat is raw. She's gonna say it
about y'all's attitude towards men. One of his baby's mama. She thought she might have said one of that MF's baby's mama.
Well, some other person or some other woman might not have announced it that way or introduced her that way. I think, you know, Kat is real, and Kat is like, yeah, she's gonna tell you, yeah.
I get careful with Kat, but she throw you out there, boy. You know?
She told it like it was. She wasn't gonna try to sugarcoat it. She wasn't gonna try to make it sound nice. She's one of your baby's mamas.
She could have said this is so and so, and her and McKinney share a child together.
Oh, come on.
She didn't have to make it quantitative, huh?
Well, she said it like it is. That's what it is.
I know. I'm just playing. I have a problem with it. I really don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, but it's funny that's how she chose to.
I don't think my son's mother had a problem with it either. We both laughed at it. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's keeping it real. That is really keeping it real.
She wasn't on the show. She wasn't on the show.
But she always keeps it real. So. Yeah. But you're gonna hear a lot.
To the dismay of some folks, right?
But
I remember a past show that she was at. When she was on one time there here. We were on 7th Avenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she had some of your co-hosts' hair standing up.
Well, she kind of shocked me. I mean, because I wasn't even prepared for it.
She had a hair or two of yours standing up as well.
You're right about that, because I wasn't expecting some of the stuff that came out of her mouth.
But I had just.
But you knew, yeah.
I knew it already. But I think it's her being as animated and as real as she is that's her brand, and I think it's good.
And I think it works for her. I mean, it really does. And actually, when she comes on, she's involved in a lot. I mean, that girl, I don't know, she's a hard-working girl. She does a lot of. I mean, she's
her and Alethea. I'm
both of them.
On too.
Oh yeah, we definitely Alethea Brown. Right?
One of the things that she's going to tell us more about when she gets on when she comes on, when we reschedule her, is about her video project called The Untitled Journey, which involves her documenting Alethea's journey, artistic journey.
Right, because Alethea is a great artist. Mm-hmm.
Right. Alethea is a fantastic artist, and all-around human being. So, I think that
and I have to shout out to Alethea.
Nice if we can get them both on together, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Maybe the next time we can get them both together.
Then you'll have 3 women against.
Look,
you went up against the two.
I'm not even. I'm not even fretting.
You
I
went
can
up
handle it.
against the two of them, so you think you can handle it, but you
No,
know,
but you know, Jazzy Joy wasn't in the mix. That brings a whole
no.
nother dimension.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So
that
if you
brings
think
another dimension, Jazz.
you could handle the three of us, then you're good.
Yeah, 'cause
But
I don't know.
I want.
I don't know if people know about you because you have that kind of demure kind of you know quiet way about you at times,
Mm-hmm.
right? Especially
Mm-hmm.
on the air. But you know, I mean, from you know, and from preparing for the show and having, you know, sometimes we have dialogues about different things in preparation for the topics that we're going to talk about on the show. I'm
Right.
going to tell you all, this woman is a Hellcat, right? And don't have a disagreement with her and get her dander up because
Uh-oh,
you're going to hear
yeah.
you're going to hear about well people this and all people that, and I already know, and you know this, and then and it's going to be articulated in a way that you better not say nothing else about it either.
But even Kat, I don't remember exactly what she told you, but when she was on the show that time, and we went out after the show for some food and drinks,
Drinks and food,
well, food and drink, not just
drinks
drink.
and food. Whatever.
Whatever
I'm
order.
sorry.
But she was quite surprised because
Uh-huh.
she had
Well,
this image of me, and when we sat down and we were kicking it together, she was like, "Wow, I didn't know." You know, well,
yeah, you know, like people don't know. I was saying because you know you have that, you know, and participating in the profession that you're in, and you have to maintain a certain decorum, and you know, very man. When I first met you, I was like, you know, this is a nice, quiet lady, huh? You know, like maybe even a little yielding to folks, right?
mm-hmm.
But no.
So what happened? You found out differently, huh? You said,
Yeah, I found out different. I mean, I've seen, you know, instances where people have crossed you or rubbed you the wrong way or articulated something that wasn't what you passionately felt was the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I may have at a time or two, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then we saw
You stepped in the fire a couple of times.
yeah, right. My feet got burned too. We saw the sheep's clothing come off. Like you just like Superman, just threw Clark Kent off, and there you were. Right?
And when my wrath comes down, it's
so you know why if I seem a little submissive on the show at times, that's because I don't want to unleash the fury. But when we have this particular show, I'm gonna cast caution to the wind.
You're gonna just let it out, huh? Well, you know,
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
we've
You're
had
gonna have to sign
discussions, and they've been quite heated about male-female relationships. But anyway, that's to come.
Yeah, I'm trying to give people a taste of what they're going to experience.
And we definitely want you.
Once Kat gets better, and we reschedule her for the show, and see if we can get Alethea as well at a different, either that time or in a different show, and getting that you get prepared for this, you know, for my demise, huh?
And we definitely want males and females to chime in. I know long time ago when I first started the show, we had a similar kind of topic, and I mean that phone was lighting up, and people were calling in, and men were saying things that ticked women off, and women were saying things that ticked men off, and it was just insane. So we hope that when we have that show that you'll chime in. And also you have an opportunity this evening to chime in to let us know what issues, what's trending that you would like to talk about, and we can cover it this evening because it's kind of like a free thing tonight. So the number is 646 690 2976. 646 690 2976. And we know you're out there because, in fact, we got a call last week after the show. And we also get text messages and on Instagram and Facebook. So we know you're out there listening. Don't be afraid to call in and let us know your views and how you feel about the topics. And also thank you all for your comments and
encouragement
and everything. And we really appreciate it. So keep that coming. And so we try to provide topics that are interest of, for you. And then we didn't forget about housing, because housing is coming back. That topic is coming back with a bang. As soon as we can get Carmen Quinones in here, and she's going to try to get Lynn Patton here. And shout out to Carmen Quinones. I mean, that's a hard-working woman, and she gets stuff done. And we really appreciate her. And she got Monica Morales on this show, so I'm sure she could get Lynn Patton, too. If anybody can do it, she's the one to do it. So shout out to Carmen Quinones.
I think Lynn might have scurried on back to D.C. for a moment because of this whole new this budget where they're talking about cutting aid to public housing, or so they can put their heads together and find out how to broach that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully, because she's I think she'll be stationed in New York, because she's the regional director for the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, this region. The northeastern region.
Carmen?
No, not Carmen.
No. She's running for regional director. I mean,
Lynn, but Lynn Patton is the regional director for HUD for this.
Right, but what is Carmen running for?
I think it's district leader.
District leader. Yeah, she's running for district leader. Mm-hmm. And I also want to give a shout out to Ronald Topping and Dr. Falani, Dr. Lenora Falani. We're all working together with the housing crisis. The crisis is not over, and we're going to continue our series about that too. So that's coming. Look forward to that.
And I just wanted to make another, one final point about what we discussed earlier about the male-female stuff. With the whole purpose of what we're doing and addressing it is to try to arrive at some kind of reconciliation, some kind of strategic plan to improve, the way that we relate to females and females relate to males, so we kind of understand some of our predispositions, and understand some of women's reactions to our predispositions as males. And not take everything so personal. Right?
And we're not trying to bash, right? We're not trying to bash women or bash men. Right. We're trying to arrive at
some reconciliation, or at least a strategic plan to achieve that, right? Especially in our cultural dynamic.
Because we're not getting anywhere with complaining and bashing each other and just... we're not coming up with solutions, and we really need to work together to get an understanding, because males and females are very different. How we think, how we everything, our physical makeup, everything.
I'm so glad to hear you say that as an employee of the show.
Why?
Because you're the boss lady. So you understand that I'm safe.
No, we have to come to some kind of understanding and try to work together instead of again, because that's what I don't know, to say the powers that be or the superpowers or whatever. That's what they want. They want us to constantly be at each other, and we need to break that cycle.
Right. And you know what? I think that's a good segue into what, one other topic we may want to talk about this evening. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's kind of two pronged. All right.
Right.
And it may spill over in part to some of our future shows. Maybe even the one with Kat and potentially Olivia. And it's sometimes it's such a touchy subject. I kind of cringe at the potential the potential pushback that I may receive, but it's the Keeping It Real, the Jazzy Joy and Company show. So, being company, I'm going to go out there on the limb.
Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. Can you hold that thought for a minute, because I have to do this. I forgot that music at the beginning of the show is our new theme song, and it was written, arranged, and the voice on there is C. Stephen. I believe he was an engineer of City World Radio. I don't think he's here any longer. So I want to thank him for the theme song, and that's what we're going to be using from now on. So I just wanted to get that in before I forget. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Mm-hmm. So that's
anyway,
Stephen.
Yeah, we do definitely want to give C his props. Because
he wrote it, he arranged
it. Show, he was like very instrumental in helping me kind of understand how this whole thing works, right? Along with yourself. So, thanks, Steve.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, and from now on, that will be our theme song. Okay, so again, we're gonna get into what now?
Well, I'm saying one of the topics that we've been discussing and trying to figure out how to approach, and we're just gonna go ahead and do it, but in a keeping it real way, and that's the topic of religion, all right, and how religion relates to assimilation into a culture that was not necessarily designed for certain segments of the population. And what does assimilation really mean, and how does religion play a part in that?
Well, that's a very, very touchy subject, because people are so strongly indoctrinated into religion. It's going to be a tough one, but anyway, we're just opening up the discussion about it, and hope everyone can have an open mind. And
if you can't, well, you can't. But I think that we need some historical references as far as what I know about the history, not of specific religions, but the history of religion. Period. Right.
Right.
And how religion always played a part in establishing establishing parameters for control. And
right.
This is my personal view. But I think that it's quite evident if we can at least take the blinders off, right? The blinders off our minds and look at the different possibilities. I mean, first of all, one thing that's significant to me, and I was raised in Christianity as a Protestant, specifically Baptist,
Mm-hmm.
and from the time as far back as I can remember, and even before that, probably when I fell out the womb, right?
Right.
It was programmed into me that this is, through a lot of different vehicles, that this is the way, we look at things, then you got your rewards, even when you talk about Christmas and Easter and things like that, those have a religious foundation.
Right.
And it just churned and churned until even as you became older and began to, explore the world and explore different concepts, that was out of bounds. You weren't allowed to think about the meaning of religion and how that, or whatever particular religion that was imposed on you from birth without question. It was just, you just had to comply.
Right.
If you didn't comply, then there was a whole structure of penalties, all right, and words and concepts that related to penalties. For instance, hell and the devil and purgatory and and these things happen. If any question is blasphemous or you're not supposed to even think outside of the religious parameters in which you were indoctrinated.
Right.
And as I got older, one of the things that made me, and you might think this is like, very insignificant, but to me it was very significant when I grew up, and when your parents are your first line of trust, right? You see them, your parents tell you things, you believe it, this is what it is, because your parents are telling you. You don't have any other frame of reference, right?
Right.
This is my parents, and these are the ones that nurture me and love me, so whatever they're telling me, it has to be what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they told me about this man coming down my chimney, right? And bringing with a sack full of toys, right? And if I behave myself, if I act in accordance with the rules, right?
Right.
Then I will be rewarded on this day on this religious day, the day that Jesus was born, right? Mm-hmm. I'll be rewarded with a toy or something that I wanted, right? And it was sent via Santa Claus, who, for all intents and purposes, was a religious representative, huh? So I used to think about how, even like at the age like maybe 4 or 5, how could that man go down to every chimney in the world, right?
But at least you had a chimney. I mean, at least you lived in a house.
No, I didn't have. I always have a chimney,
but you lived in a house.
Because a lot of times I didn't have a chimney, right?
But when you were a kid, you lived in a house, right?
I lived in a first, as far as I can remember back, it was my father was in the Air Force, and I lived in Germany, so it was a housing complex. It was a big apartment building.
Oh,
right?
Apartment buildings, yeah. So it's like we couldn't even relate.
No, I mean, but you automatically just you don't process it like that as a kid. Like in those early years, like 2, 3 years old, you don't say, well, there's no chimney. If someone says he's coming down the chimney, that's where he's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing about I don't have one. And then when I got to the point where I was wondering about the chimney situation, is the master, it became master keys. He has master keys. Huh? So I'm saying,
but it's one man, right? Like you said, one man.
One man, and even like when you go to different places and sit on his lap and ask for how come Santa Claus is being Macy's and Bonwatella at the same time, huh?
Yes, it obviously can't be one man.
but he wasn't the helper. He was like, they didn't say, well, that's Santa's helper. That was Santa, huh?
Right.
So then it became the helper, right? He's a helper. Okay, but then my point is that I was rooted fundamentally in the belief of Santa Claus, right? Because my parents told me this,
mm-hmm.
right? And I believed what they told me.
Right.
And when I found out, and they get to the point where they had to tell me, no, there is no Santa Claus. That was just something, And then they threatened me because my sibling, if you tell your sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you're not getting any gifts. Nobody's getting any gifts, right? So I couldn't really, I had to go along with it, even though I knew it was bullshit, right?
Mhm.
I had to go along with it
Right.
because I didn't want the penalty, right?
Mhm.
Um, so but what it did, as a young child, it made me wonder, like, well, damn, what else did my parents tell me that might be questionable?
You're right.
Even if that wasn't in the front of my mind, I think somewhere psychologically it began to churn. Like, they really deceived me, right?
Mhm.
And they, so how much some of this other stuff that they're telling me, should I believe in? And there, I began questioning religion as a result, and Jonah and the whale, and walking on water, and all the other
But what is
figuratively.
it? What is it about religion that bothers you? I mean, what it? I mean, not bothers you, but I mean, for lack
Well,
of a
I
better
think
word.
well, you can use bothers, but I think the thing that I struggle with, is how people just go, march to the beat and are so emotionally transfixed, right? That they're not even willing to maybe even peek over the fence, right? And say, well,
Mhm.
let me see. Maybe there's some other, and you have like great movie directors, that and producers of our generation, like Tarantino, and that has such subliminal messages in a lot of his movies. I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Django, but to me
Mhm.
that was a powerful movie about subjugation and the tools of subjugation, the tools of slavery being subjugation, right? And how it was how we were like programmed into this going along with some of the things that led to our own demise, right?
Right.
Things that were very anti-human as far as we were concerned, we being black people, right? But ultimately poor people as well, right? Poor people of all, because I believe racism is a tool of capitalism, right? And in the final analysis, it's used to provide conflict between poor people, so that the rich people don't can be less accountable, because we're too busy fighting each other about color, and then subsequent to that about economics, right? And just like when they talk about the border wall, I'm diverting a little bit, but like they talk about the border wall, it's
Mhm.
because we're afraid they're going to come here and take ours. They're going to take what we have. They're going to encroach on our survival
Right.
reality, right?
Right.
I mean, that's the fear that's all play to. But then, back to the religion kind of sets us up for that kind of encroachment. And I think that when you look at the larger picture, and you start to look at things that somewhere in your psyche may not make any rational based on what your perspective of reality is, right? May not make any rational sense. Then we retreat into cognitive dissonance, right?
Mhm.
Where we see things that and things are in our face and are telling us that that's not, this is not the case. But we refuse, because of our emotional attachment and the validation that propels. We refuse to let it go.
Well, I
Or we
mean, if you've been
refuse not to even let
indoctrinated,
it go. We refuse to even analyze it.
but if you've been indoctrinated since a child, I mean, it's very
Yeah.
hard to look at as something that's been a part of you and a part of your life for so many years, to look at it and say, well, it really doesn't make much sense.
And that, and that's what makes it so insidious, right? Because you base your whole the foundation of your reality, all right, on those, on these factors. And if it's not, if you were to say, well, no, I can't, I no longer subscribe to this, then the basic structure of your reality begins to come apart.
That's
You
true.
know, your morality, your understanding of whether you look at evolution, whether you look at right or wrong, all the things that are tied to this, to this belief, to a belief system. If you no longer subscribe to that belief system, all the things that support that belief system become irrelevant.
And
then, so from that perspective, I think we need things in societies to maintain order. All right.
Mm-hmm. And
societies do need structures to survive. But I mean, to a point where you attach yourself to a structure that is a part of your subjugation, that's a part of your demoralization, a part of your devaluation. I don't.
And a lot of people don't realize that it was the Catholic Church that sanctioned slavery, because people had a feeling something was inherently wrong about slavery, and they asked the church, and the church said it was fine.
Yeah, the church quoted certain passages in the Bible that talk about master, right?
Right.
And that was propelled in a meaning of, for your master as you were a slave, right? So slavery was okay because it was in the Bible, right?
Right.
And it's just, I don't know, it's just overwhelming sometimes to think about how powerful. When I see some of these shows on TV where they're talking about giving money, sowing a seed for that will grow into a harvest for you, but sow the seed now, and they'll talk about sowing seeds like $700-800, right?
Right.
And if you can't get it, well, don't worry about your electric bill, because the return that you'll get on it will more than adequately cover the bill, but you need to sow the seed now so the ground is fertile, right?
And where is this money going? I mean, the question is, what are they doing but living lavish lives?
They're enriching their lives.
Exactly.
It's a hustle.
They found a way to really make big bucks with religion. These mega churches, 20,000. That's a church. And speaking in particular, in Texas with Joel Osteen.
I don't want to mention nobody's name because I don't want any libel.
All right. Okay. No, but I'm only speaking the truth, so it's not going to be libel. The church seats about 20,000 people. It was a sports arena at one time. It was the Compact Center. It was a sports arena, and it seats about 20,000 people, and that's a church.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that became the church, the sports arena.
Yeah, these mega churches. He's not the only one, but they have these mega churches with thousands and thousands. Mm-hmm.
They're on. I forget the name of them, but they're on TV. They call them something. I can't think of the name. But
well, that's the name with them mega churches.
Right,
unless you mean evangelicals, I don't know, but they're mega churches and
right, and they're not all evangelicals. They're different. They're Baptists. They're different.
Right.
Different reports. Different segments of the religious culture. You have one guy, for instance, and I know you all may know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say his name because I don't want him to get my few pennies. He wanted the church, the congregation, to contribute to buy him a second airplane, a second jet, so that he could go around and spread the gospel around the world. He had one jet, but he needed like $1 million some odd dollars or more to get another jet. All right, and I'm saying, and people are like saying okay, and they're buying into this, all right, and they giving their money, and half the people that are giving the money cannot barely are living from paycheck to paycheck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're propping up some of these pastors or so-called pastors that are living large, and the rationale is, well, pastors should live good because he's doing the work of the Lord, so pastors should live good.
Well, a lot of them preach abundance. I mean, that's how they interpret abundance in the Bible. But I don't think that's what it. But even in the Bible, I don't think that's what's meant by abundance. But how they interpret.
For who?
Well, they claim it's abundance for everyone. Everyone is going to get theirs, you know.
Yeah,
they already got theirs.
But they're going to get theirs now.
Yeah, they're going to get theirs now. You're going to get yours later. But
and possibly in the hereafter.
And a lot of them, I look upon, not all of them, but some of them, I look upon them as motivational speakers with a religious twist. It's really motivating, like telling you can do it, and your time is coming, and you're going to get this, and you're going to have abundance, and that's what they preach. You know, it's kind of like a feel-good kind of thing where you go.
Exactly.
Encouragement. So that's why I say it's a motivational speaker but throwing in scriptures and the Bible, scriptures from the Bible here and there, but it's really motivational speaking.
And make you do, and you participate in that, and like you say, it's a feel good. It makes you feel good emotionally. It's almost like I remember I was I was doing an interview with Kat on one of her shows, and I referred to religion as one of the most powerful sedatives, right?
Well, the opiate of the masses.
That's interesting. It is. To me, it is a sedative. It makes you complacent. It gets you on an emotional level. You jump around and do praise dance and fall out.
But that's not like a sedative. It's more like the opiate of the masses, like as Karl Marx called it.
Opiate is a sedative. I think unless you mean a stimulant.
I think it's more like a stimulant. I mean, because it gets you like really up and you ready. You feel like you can conquer the world when you get out of there. And then you go back to your life and everything. You see, nothing is getting better.
But it also sedates your drive to try to look at things and become I don't want to say revolutionary, but become to be proactive, to think differently. All right, it keeps you it sedates you in that you stay in that realm. All right, even if it's in an accelerated kind of way. All right, but you're still in that realm. All right, you feel good, and you pass out. They fan you with something, right? You come back and woo, all right. And you jump and you holler, and all those are emotional releases, right? Emotional things, and we can do that. We can get ourselves whip ourselves up into frenzies like that about anything, actually.
Right. Right.
So, to say that you got the spirit, the spirit is in me, right? I don't know. It's just to me. I don't know. It's just for lack of a better word, it's just sad that we allow ourselves to be so regulated by, these kind of things. And it's not just, I'm saying, I don't want to make it seem like it's just a black thing. It may impacted black people differently than it did white people. But living down here in North Carolina, in the South, in the middle of the Bible Belt,
right.
Oh my Lord. And I say that as part of my indoctrination. When something like touches me that way, I'll say, "Oh my Lord," huh? And because that's just part of my language.
Or you would say, "Thank God," right?
Yeah. You just see so much. It's just so.
Or God bless you when someone sneezes.
Yeah. Those things that you say, God, we trust on the money.
And
you
I
know,
had a,
everything.
I
You know, like when you go to court and you swear to tell the truth and you put your hand on the Bible, that means you absolutely means you're going to tell the truth now.
right,
You got your hand on the Bible. If
I
you
had a
don't,
student from Africa, and he didn't understand because I was talking about in my cultural awareness class about the separation of church and state, and he didn't understand because he said the dollar bill has in God we trust. I pointed out to him in the courtroom is in God we trust, and you put your hand on the Bible to be sworn in the court, to be sworn in as president of the United States. You put your hands on the Bible, and other offices, you know, you put your hand on the Bible, but yet we're supposed to be a separation of church and state. You know?
but many of our rituals are steeped in religious culture.
Right, exactly. So he couldn't understand that because you know on your money, on the dollar bill, in God we trust. I mean, he just couldn't understand that. But yeah, I tried to explain it to him the best way I could.
And I grew up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I fail to see.
I mean,
and then,
technically,
I'm always getting something on Facebook. I'm always getting something in Messenger. I'm always getting someone's always sending me something about some money. You're gonna get some money. Your season, your favor. You're gonna be in favor. You know.
I have to say about 95% of what I receive on Messenger is based on religion.
Mm-hmm. Good.
About 95% of what people send me, it's religious in nature.
So the media is a facilitator. The social media is facilitator. Everything
God.
is like.
It looks like it's 6:49. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're getting close. I was just looking at my watch.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wrap this up, huh?
Yeah, we can probably continue it when we get other points of view on the show.
I don't know what time. Let me ask Jade, what time we spoke? Like 53. Okay, so we got a couple of minutes.
Well, I mean, and I think there's no real wrapping this up. It's an open debate, right?
No, there's no wrapping it. You can't wrap it up.
Mm-hmm. But I would like to hear other people who have a different point of view, and who at some point we can have this open dialogue about it, because I'm sure that people who feel as strongly about their belief thing as I do.
Because you and I, we feel pretty much the same about religion, so it's not really an open dialogue. But people who might disagree with us, and they see, they can make us try to make a case for religion. That's what we need. People to call in and let us know how they feel and what they think, because there are a lot of religious people out there. As I said, because 95% of the information that I receive on my messenger is related to religion. So that tells you a great many people.
It's all religious based in some way.
Right.
And I know one of the things that I was evolving to the point at which I am now. One of my biggest challenges was fear. All right. Mm-hmm. I'm a little afraid lightning is going to hit me. Huh?
Right.
The things that they institute that keep you, indoctrinated. The fear that's being used is very powerful. Right. You're going to heaven. You'll burn eternally. All the things like Judgment Day. All these kinds of little things that are, because it's to me, in wrapping up, if religion is all that good and all that, is all that rewarding, then you don't need a concept of fear to make people stay there. To stick with it.
Yeah, that's the contradiction.
If it's that fulfilling and it's that rewarding and that refilling and that uplifting, you don't even need fear. People will stay to it because they feel good about it. They don't have to worry about going to hell. Because if hell and the devil and all that are significant, then it's not about the religion. It's about not wanting to go to hell.
That's right. So I just want to say I want to remind our listeners that it's going to be the Bill Russo show next Monday at this time on the 25th. So the Jazzy Joy and Company Keeping It Real show will be back on the air April Fool's Day. April 1st, which is Monday. It was going to be an April Fool's Day. That's when we're going to be back.
Have to be on that day. Lord.
So and that's the way it is. So so next Monday, the 25th, March 25th, will be the Bill Russo show, and I'm going to shout out to Bill Russo. He's getting back into it, and we're glad to hear about that. The AC Low show.
We want to also get Bill involved in some of our housing.
Oh yeah, because Bill Russo is very, very instrumental in that. Yeah, so he's going to be joining us about housing. But yeah, they alternate the Bill until they get their slot back at 7. But for now, they're going to be doing 1 week, 1 day per month at our time slot. So next week, Bill Russo show, and thank you all for listening. And thanks for tuning in.
Good night.
And have a great week, and peace.
And God bless you.
When it comes to providing guide dogs for people who are blind or visually impaired, one national organization is taking the lead. The Guide Dog Foundation breeds and trains Labradors and Golden Retrievers to help blind and visually impaired people increase their mobility and independence. The foundation provides transportation to its New York campus, the guide dog, a comprehensive training program, and a lifetime of aftercare services, all free of charge.